Some cases were never solved. Some calls were never traced.
Drive through the California desert outside Barstow at night, and the darkness simply swallows the landscape. There are no houses, no streetlights, and for miles in every direction, nothing but empty asphalt. Sitting alone along that desolate stretch is a small 24-hour gas station. In 2017, a man named Ethan Brooks worked the night shift there. His routine was entirely predictable. Drink coffee, watch the security monitors, and listen to the wind. That predictability broke on October 17th. At exactly 2:11 a.m., Ethan suddenly noticed a figure standing out beside Pump 4. The man was tall, thin, and completely motionless. The entrance was fully visible on the cameras, yet no vehicle had pulled in, and there hadn't been a single sound of an engine. The sheer emptiness of the desert conditions you to expect total isolation. The shock comes when that isolation is broken without warning, and you realize you are suddenly sharing the dark with someone else. Ethan walked outside to address the man. The wind had died completely. As he got within 20 feet, he looked down. The man's shoes weren't touching the pavement. They were hovering, completely suspended, just a few inches above the cracked asphalt. The figure slowly turned its head. The face was impossibly pale, with eyes that looked pitch black under the canopy lights, and a smile stretched unnaturally wide. Then, the station lights flickered 3 times in rapid succession, and the man vanished. Shaken, Ethan locked himself inside. That's when the store's receipt printer suddenly activated on its own. It pushed out a single slip of thermal paper. There was absolutely no fuel purchased, just a timestamp of 2:11 a.m. and a short message. "Thank you for stopping." The police arrived shortly after. They scoured the perimeter and found a single set of footprints about 50 yards out, but the tracks didn't head toward the highway. They walked directly into the deep desert sand and then abruptly stopped. This leaves us with an imprint in the sand and a mechanical action from a printer. Whatever stood out there wasn't a trick of the light. It interacted with the environment and carried actual, physical weight. Looking for answers, Ethan pulled up the security recordings. He scrubbed backward through the camera. The timestamp rolled past midnight, then 10 p.m., stopping at 9 p.m., the very beginning of his shift. The figure was already standing there. He loaded the afternoon footage. The station was busy, with cars pulling in and out constantly, yet the man remained frozen in the exact same spot. Customers walked right past him. No one looked, no one reacted. He was entirely invisible to everyone except Ethan and the lens of the camera. The situation escalated sharply at 3:03 a.m. Out on the lot, all 4 pumps activated simultaneously. The digital numbers ticked upward as gallons of raw gasoline began pouring directly out of the nozzle onto the concrete. The canopy lights flickered again, and every security monitor inside the store went pitch black. Seconds later, a single feed came back online. It was the camera pointing at Pump 4, and the man was standing noticeably closer, staring directly into the lens. Ethan backed away from the screen, only to catch a horrifying detail in the monitor's glass. A reflection showed someone standing right behind him. He spun around to find nothing, but when he looked back, the man was pressed flat against the front window, smiling broadly, lifting a single finger to point out toward the black desert. Moving from standing silently for hours to actively controlling the station's hardware and manipulating reflections shows a deliberate, calculated intent. Terrified, Ethan called his former manager, Rick, a veteran employee of 20 years. Before Ethan could even explain, Rick interrupted with a single question. Was it Pump 4? Rick explained that back in the late 1980s, a family driving through the night struck a disabled vehicle left on the shoulder. The impact of the crash killed nearly everyone instantly. There was one survivor. Desperate for help, he walked nearly 2 miles through the freezing dark. By the time he saw the glow of the gas station, his severe internal injuries had caught up with him. The next morning, local authorities found him. He wasn't lying down. He had died standing completely upright, waiting right beside Pump 4. The presence at the station is tied directly to that exact piece of ground. It is an echo anchored perfectly to the final coordinates of a desperate, dying man. A week later, Ethan decided to quit. But before he left the station for good, he dug deep into the hard drives, reviewing years of archived security footage frame by frame. He noticed something that made his blood run cold. The figure hadn't always been stationed beside the gas pumps. It had been moving. This schematic map shows the layout of the property. When Ethan pulled the oldest available tapes from 2008, the figure was just a speck, standing far out in the vast desert wasteland. Fast-forwarding through the years, a terrifying pattern emerged. Night after night, month after month, the entity was creeping forward, closing the distance a few feet at a time. By 2017, the slow march reached the edge of the pavement, anchoring right beside Pump 4. Ethan ran the math, taking the distance covered over those 9 years and projecting that exact same pace forward. The figure wouldn't stay at the pumps forever. Eventually, it would cross the rest of the tarmac and reach the front door. So if you ever find yourself pulling into an empty desert gas station long after midnight, check the security cameras, because that sole survivor from the tragic 1980s crash is still out there, and he hasn't stopped walking.
Like and subscribe.